Welcome to the Mysterious Channel. Today, we will focus on a world without politics. Have you ever imagined a world without political parties? Let's take a whimsical journey into the realm of the potential absurdity. Picture the globe, our home, stripped of the reds, blues, greens, or any color that symbolizes a political party. Gone are the days of the donkey and the elephant, the rose and the oak tree, and the myriad symbols that have defined our political landscape for centuries. Political parties, my friends, have been the vertebrae in the backbone of democracy, the connective tissue that holds our political bodies together. They've been the rallying points, the banners under which we unite, the vehicles that carry our voices to the halls of power. But what if, by some strange twist of fate, they were to disappear overnight? What if we woke up one fine morning to a world devoid of political parties? A world where every individual is a party unto themselves, where every voice is independent, and every ideology stands alone in its own right. The notion is as ludicrous as it is thought-provoking. A world without political parties would be like an orchestra without a conductor, a ship without a captain, a football team without a coach. Who would guide the symphony of voices, steer the ship of state, or call the plays in the political game? Would we see a rise in diplomacy, or would it be a descent into chaos? Would it herald an era of unparalleled individual freedom, or would it give birth to a political Wild West where the only law is the law of the jungle? We could see a world of political free agents where alliances are formed and broken with the rise and fall of the sun. A world where the political landscape is as changeable and unpredictable as the weather. A world where the only constant is uncertainty. Imagine the pandemonium, every man for himself, a political Wild West. Now, doesn't that paint a picture? But don't worry, this is just the beginning of our journey into the realm of the absurd. So buckle up, my friends, for the ride is about to get even more interesting. In this world, who would decide our laws and regulations? Picture this, a world devoid of political parties, a realm where the reds, blues, and greens cease to exist. It's an intriguing thought, isn't it? But let's dig a bit deeper, shall we? Imagine, for a moment, a world where our leaders are not chosen by party affiliation, but by a show of hands in a massive town hall meeting. Theoretically, it sounds democratic, fair even, but practically, it's a whole other ballgame. Let's consider a simple scenario. Suppose we need to decide on a national budget. Instead of seasoned politicians, we have John, the baker from down the street, and Sally, the kindergarten teacher, debating economic policies. Interesting, yes. Practical? Well, you be the judge. And who would enforce these decisions? The local sheriff, the school principal, or perhaps the ice cream man? It's a bit like asking a fish to climb a tree, isn't it? And then, there's the question of international relations. How would we negotiate treaties, handle diplomatic crises, or assert our position in the global arena? Would we send our best chess player to negotiate nuclear disarmament? The picture we're painting here might seem amusing, like a satirical skit or a quirky sitcom, but it's also a peek into a world of chaos, a world where decision-making is not organized, but rather a free-for-all. In the absence of political parties, we'd have a society where everyone has an opinion, but no one has the authority. It's like trying to steer a ship with 100 captains, all pulling in different directions. So, while the idea of a world without political parties might seem appealing at first glance, the reality could be far from it. It's like a game of musical chairs, except the music never stops and the chairs are on fire. Now, isn't that a sight to behold? Who would take the lead in such a society? A world without political parties may sound like a dream, but let's delve a little further into this hypothetical reality. Imagine a world where everyone has the opportunity to step up and take charge. No political parties, no affiliations, just pure, unadulterated leadership. Sounds great, right? Well, in theory, yes. But in practice, let's just say it could get a little chaotic. Think about it. If everyone's a leader, who's the follower? The idea of a leaderless society might seem appealing, but it's like a ship without a captain. Sure, the crew knows how to sail, but without a captain, who decides the direction? Who charts the course? Now, let's add a bit of satire to this mix. Imagine a world where everyone wants to be the leader. Decision-making would be like a never-ending game of musical chairs, where everyone's racing for that one coveted seat. And what happens when the music stops? A scramble for power, a jumble of voices, each louder and more assertive than the last. It's a cacophony of confusion, a symphony of chaos. And what about conflicts? Without political parties to mediate, it's every person for themselves. Disagreements would be settled not by diplomatic discussions, but by who can shout the loudest. So, who would take the lead in such a society? Well, that's the million-dollar question. In a world where everyone wants to be the leader, it's not about who's the most qualified or who has the best ideas. It's about who can shout the loudest, who can make their voice heard above the din. But here's the kicker. Leadership isn't just about making decisions, it's about taking responsibility. It's about doing the hard, unglamorous work that keeps a society running smoothly. So in a world without political parties, everyone wants to be a chef, but who will wash the dishes? A leaderless society might not be the utopia we imagine. Instead, it could be a world where the loudest voice rules and the quiet work of maintaining a society falls by the wayside. Everyone wants to be a chef, but who will wash the dishes? And what about our unresolved issues? Imagine, if you will, a world without political parties. How, pray tell, would we resolve our many disagreements and disputes? It's a bit like a family dinner without a designated carver. Everyone's arguing about who gets the drumstick, while the turkey just sits there going cold. So let's delve into the realm of the absurd and see what this chaotic scenario might look like. We all have our passions, our causes, our issues that we hold dear. Now, without a political party to rally behind, every Tom, Dick, and Harriet is left to fight their own battles. It's similar to a game of chess, but every piece thinks it's the king and has its own strategy. In the end, nobody's getting checked, but everyone's getting mated. Let's consider a contentious issue, say, climate change. Without a party to represent the various viewpoints, we'd have a cacophony of voices, each clamoring for attention. Picture a choir where every singer chooses their own song. The result? Not so much a harmonious melody, but more of a dissonant racket. Now, let's not forget about decision-making. Without political parties, who makes the decisions? Is it the loudest voice, the most persuasive argument, or perhaps the person with the most followers on social media? It's like a game of rock, paper, scissors where everyone keeps adding new elements. Rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, anyone? And then there's the issue of accountability. Without a party system, who do we hold accountable when things go awry? It's like playing a game of hide and seek, but everyone's hiding and no one's seeking. In this leaderless society, with no clear system for tackling conflicts or making decisions, our unresolved issues could potentially spiral into an endless cycle of debates, disputes, and disagreements. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, blindfolded, in a hurricane. So, what have we learned from this absurd thought experiment? Well, quite a bit, actually. We've journeyed through a world where political parties are as extinct as the dodo, and it's been quite a ride, hasn't it? We've seen how without parties to rally around, society becomes a bit like a ship without a compass. There's no organized way to make decisions, no structured method to resolve conflicts. We've seen how, without political parties, we're all just individuals trying to navigate the labyrinth of society on our own. And let's not forget about leadership. Without parties, there's no clear-cut way to choose our leaders. It's like trying to play a game of chess without any pieces. It just doesn't work. Without political parties, we're left trying to herd cats, and anyone who's ever owned a cat knows that's a losing battle. But perhaps most importantly, we've seen the absurdities that would arise in a world without political parties. Imagine, if you will, a world where every single person is their own political party. A world where your neighbor, your boss, even your grandma are all vying for political power. It's like a never-ending episode of Game of Thrones, but with less dragons and more town hall meetings. We've also glimpsed the unresolved issues that would plague such a world. Without political parties, who would decide what gets done? Who would ensure fairness? Who would protect the rights of the minority? The answer, sadly, is no one. So while our journey has been adventurous and mysterious, it has also been a stark reminder of the importance of political parties. They may not be perfect, but they provide structure, organization, and a way to make collective decisions. They give us a means to choose our leaders, to resolve our conflicts, and to work towards a common goal. So, while a world without political parties might sound appealing at first, remember, in chaos, it's every man, woman, and child for himself. Now, isn't that a thought to sleep on? And now, as we draw this journey to its close, let's take a moment to reflect. We've traveled through a world without political parties, seen its chaos, its absurdities, and its unresolved issues. We've realized that, despite its flaws, our current system provides a sense of order, a structure to rally around. It's not perfect, but it's far better than every man, woman, and child fending for themselves in a leaderless society. It's a system that, for all its faults, allows us to make collective decisions, choose our leaders, and work towards common goals. In the end, it's a system that, despite everything, works. Now, isn't that a thought to sleep on? Thanks for joining us on this thought experiment. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it? Thanks for watching the video. We hope it's given you some food for thought. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting explorations into the what-ifs of our world. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, in a world of constant change, it's our thoughts and ideas that shape the future. Goodbye for now.